Welcome everyone to another edition of Metal Sanctuary. This time I will be diving into the top 10 metal albums released in 1984. Before I begin this video, just wanted to let you all know, if you've been wondering, was not able to get anything to post last week with Buddy Porter. Right now he is in some intense pain with some back issues. So hoping maybe sometime tonight, maybe even tomorrow, I can get him on the top 5 that we talked about the last time we were on. So definitely praying for you, brother, and hope to get you soon. Also, next week I probably won't have a video up because my son's graduation from kindergarten is on Wednesday, and I'll have my kids for the remainder of that week. So anyway, let's go into top 10 1984. Like 83, this produced a lot more records to have to sift through. I have quite a few honorable mentions on here in no particular order, and just because I didn't name them doesn't mean they couldn't be on honorable mentions list. So what I have is Anthrax's debut, Fistful of Metal, Twisted Sister's second full-length record, Stay Hungry, Exciter's second record, Violence and Force, Voivod's debut, War and Pain, and Destruction's debut record, Sentence of Death. So before I go to the top 10, something Buddy and I had talked about over the phone last week, just kind of chit-chatting. He said, well, it kind of seems like every year is going to be a battle. Let's see, where does Iron Maiden place? Are they going to be number 1 or are they going to be number 2? And last week, if you watched, they fell down to number 4. So stay tuned to see where they find on this list. At number 10, a band that came out of the ashes of another band that didn't stay too long. Previous band was called Hellhammer, and then the new band that same year comes out as Celtic Frost, with their debut Morbid Tales. Celtic Frost kind of goes away from sort of the black kind of slash death type styles of what Hellhammer was doing, following bands like Venom, Merciful Fate, and they did a lot more of incorporating more kind of like doom type things into it. I'm not calling them a doom band, but they had a little bit more of that incorporated into their music on their debut record. At number 9, going with a American metal band debut for the band Armored Saint, the record March of the Saint. At number 8, another American band debut, Metal Church, self-titled. Number 7, another American band debut, Wasp, self-titled. I believe this is what Buddy has called his favorite Wasp record. And one of the bands that I put on my list never having made a bad record. At number 6, we're back to American bands. Again, the first full-length record from Queensryche, The Warning, which is also another favorite of Buddy's, his favorite Queensryche record. At number 5, continuing with the American bands, the second record from Dio, Last in Line. Songs like We Rock, Last in Line, Egypt, The Chains Are On. If I had to pick between his first 2 records, I would go with Holy Diver, simply with the song Mystery isn't one that's that great for me, in my opinion, so that would be the notch that would give to Holy Diver. But nonetheless, I do believe it fits in the top 5 for 1984. Number 4, Judas Priest. Didn't release a record in 1983, but in 1984 they released what is my favorite 80s Judas Priest record as Defenders of the Faith, which also has my favorite Judas Priest song, The Sentinel. Number 3, sophomore record from Metallica, Ride the Lightning. This record, better produced. They produced this in Denmark, where Merciful Fate recorded, which is also the home country of Lars Ulrich, the drummer. Obviously, it's got the staple songs like Fight Fire with Fire, Fade to Black, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Creeping Death, which is my favorite Metallica song, but also, some songs that really don't get a lot of mention, the title track, as well as Escape, and a great instrumental at the end called Cthulhu. At number 2, speaking of Merciful Fate, their second full-length record, Don't Break the Oath, which contains my favorite Merciful Fate song, Come to the Sabbath. This record better produced than the first one. King Diamond's vocals are a little bit more enhanced with his falsettos. I find that it would be a tug between this one and the debut, which one I would call my favorite. I think Melissa's a darker record, and I think the raw production on that album leads to it. But the better production on Don't Break the Oath does not make it any less of a great record. And at number 2, who else? Iron Maiden, Power Slave, my favorite Iron Maiden record. All the way through, I think this record probably possesses the best collective riffs for the band. You've got the songs Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Back in the Village, title track, Lost for Words instrumental, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which is probably the greatest epic metal song ever done, Flash of the Blade, The Duelists, just a phenomenal record. I think it's probably their most well produced, as far as not being overproduced, as far as not taking it away from the guitar riffs and the drumming and not making anything sound more than what it really does. I think for my money, I think that this record is the essential kind of cornerstone that would eventually become an influence for the power thrash movement bands like Sanctuary and Iced Earth, and maybe even Sabotage kind of early. Not considering them a thrash band basically, but I think they took a lot of the progressive and the guitar melodies and things of that nature. So there you go. There's my top 10. And I don't put EPs usually because I don't think an EP can completely outweigh a full-length record, but I will say that I just wanted to give a nod to Buddy Porter's one of his favorite releases, the Haunting the Chapel EP from Slayer. Only had 3 songs on it originally, and then later on, Aggressive Perfector was later added on to make a 4th track. So there you have it, my top 10. Comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Until then, God bless and stay metal.